Hello everyone and welcome back to eCoreAcademy. My name is Anita and I am a teacher. Today I will be teaching the eCore Express Java course, and our lesson is going to be exercise 3.1, which is the first exercise of our third unit on conditional statements. And the theme of today's exercise is going to be all about if statements, as in we are going to be using those if statements you learned about in application, and today's topic is going to be currency conversions. In our exercise, we're going to be using if statements after getting user input to perform basic math operations in order to convert from one currency system to another. And in order to do that, we were going to be switching to the Eclipse workspace where I can demonstrate this exercise to you. It's a bit longer, so make sure you stick with me because it will definitely be useful in helping you explore if statements. Before I do, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the post notification bell, comment down below, and share using our socials. Alright, let's jump right into the lesson. Alright everyone, I've switched to my Eclipse workspace and I've commented out the prompt that we're going to be looking at today. So let's read through it together. We're going to be writing a program that determines the amount of money you have in different countries. The program should ask the user for the amount of money they have in USD. So we're going to get user input and we're going to ask the user to enter the amount of money they have in American dollars. Then we're going to present a menu of other countries' currencies, and the user should choose one of the countries from the menu. So the user is going to give us another input by typing in the name of a country after selecting one from the menu we're going to present. We're going to use the following conversion factors for other countries. So we're given conversion factors from 5 other countries. We're given from Britain and the British pound, India and the Indian rupee, Switzerland and the Swiss franc, Japan and the Japanese yen, and then Argentina and the Argentinian peso. And we're given all the conversion factors in relation to American dollars. So we want to make sure the user is entering the amount in American dollars. So let's jump right into the code. Since we're getting user input, we need to import keyboard reader. So we're going to do keyboard reader equals new keyboard reader, close parentheses, and we're going to make sure we import that. Import keyboard reader from Turtle Graphics, and it's imported. What we also want to do is we want to import decimal format. I'll explain what that means. So we're going to type in decimal format as I have on the screen, df equals new decimal format, open parenthesis, quotation mark, 0.00, close quotation, close parenthesis, and semicolon. So let me explain what that means. Make sure you import it. It works a lot like keyboard reader in the sense that if you do decimal format and you have some kind of calculation going on, and your calculation is going to calculate a decimal with like an infinite amount of decimal places that the computer doesn't really know how to display it, so it just displays like so many decimal places in the console window, well, that looks a little bit messy when the user looks at it and is like, why do I have 100 decimal points printed out when I'm just asking for money? Well, what decimal format does when you apply it to some kind of variable or output is it formats it to how many decimals you want. Here, because we point 0.00, it's going to round it to the nearest hundredth, which is how money is rounded. It's like, for example, in America, cents are rounded to the nearest hundredth. So because we're using decimal format, it's going to round off those like endless decimals to the nearest hundredth place. You could always change this and maybe delete this 0 and you get 0.0. That would round it to the nearest tenth, and you can add another 0, nearest thousandth. But that's how decimal format essentially works, and it's really valuable when you want to have like a neat display to your console window for your user from the computer. So with that being said, let's jump right into the program. We first want to declare our variables. We're going to declare 2 doubles. The first is going to be USD currency, and this is essentially what the user is going to enter. This is how much money they have in American dollars. And we're also going to enter other country currency. What this is going to do is it's going to help us calculate from US currency to the other country and then store that value in other country currency so we can display it and say, hey, to the user, this is what the conversion looks like and this is how much money you have in Britain or India or Switzerland, etc. So we need this other variable, and we're going to initialize it at 0 because there's a calculation being done. The other country currency is not being directly taken from user input. We're doing a calculation and storing a value in there, so it needs to be initialized at 0. We're also going to have a string called country, where the user is going to enter what country they want from the menu, and it's going to be stored in this variable string called country. And then we are going to have another string called currency, and you'll see what that means a little bit later on, but essentially it's going to help us like determine when we print it out, when we do the output, what the currency is. So like if we say I have $5 American and then the user picks rupees, they type in India. In our output we want to say you have these many rupees. So this variable currency is going to be like that rupees or pounds or francs part that is displayed back to the user. So it's just really a measure of unit, and because the user isn't directly entering the currency, they're entering the country instead, the computer has to figure out the currency, so we also have to initialize the string. So to initialize the string, we're just going to put two open quotes, quotes. So these are our variables, and let's jump into writing the actual like what's going to be interacting with the user. So we're going to start with a print statement, system.out.println, and here we want to essentially ask them how much money do they have. So we're going to say please enter your amount of money in USD. We have to get the user input from them. So after we say that, and make sure you put the semicolon, we want to make sure we are storing whatever they enter in a variable, which is USD currency. So we're going to type USD currency equals reader.read double to refer to that variable we created. So now that is going to be stored. So after the user enters that, we want to display our window. So we're going to do system.out.println. I'm going to use an escape sequence, which essentially if you do /n, it'll push it to the next line. So it's really just for formatting issues. If you do /t, it tabs your text. If you do /n, it just it's like hitting the enter key on your keyboard. So I'm going to do that just for formatting reasons to keep things kind of neat. So /n, now we're going to display the countries. So now we're going to say, please look at the following menu of countries. And then in our next print statement, we are going to print out the countries, and we are going to do it using the escape sequences. So I'm going to copy and paste that print statement, delete what I had in there, and we have 5 countries, and we want them each to be displayed on a separate line. In order to do that, we're going to use the /n, so it's almost like hitting the enter button, so it looks like a neat menu with each country on an individual line. So we'll say /n, Britain, and we'll put in parentheses pound just for the currency. We'll do /n again to go to the next line. We'll say India. Then we will type rupee. We will hit /n again. We'll type Switzerland, franc. We will have /n. Japan, in parentheses yen, and then one more /n, and that will be Argentina, which is the peso. So I'm just going to look through that. Yeah, all of our spaces look good, and so do our escape sequences. So we have the menu set now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have another print statement. What we're going to do in this print statement is we're essentially going to ask them to select one of these countries. We'll keep the /n so that for formatting it goes to the next line. So we're going to say, please choose a country by entering its full name as shown in the menu, and your money in that country will be calculated, period. Okay, perfect. I know it's a little bit long, but it tells them exactly what to do, and being exact with our programming and our instructions will help the user a lot. So now what we're going to do is they're going to enter what country they want, and we want to make sure we store what country they enter in our variable country. Reader.read line. We say line because country up here was declared as a string. So now that is stored. Now we're going to go into the if else if ladder. So if they select this country, what happens? So let's start with Britain. If country equals. Now you're probably wondering, why am I not putting an equal sign? Well, in this case, because they're entering a string and we're going to be comparing a string instead of a numerical value, they're going to be entering the string as in the country name. They're not entering a numerical value. We're going to put equals. So just make sure you take a note of that mentally. If you have a string, you put the variable, which was country equals instead of an equal sign. So country equals, that means that if they enter Britain, then we want the following to be executed. We want other country currency, which is what we are calculating, to be equal to USD currency times 0.83. And again, I'm taking this up from what was given to us in the prompt, this reference guide. So we are calculating this in pounds, and we want currency to be equal to pounds. And that is pretty much done. So I'm going to copy and paste this just to make it easier as we do the else if ladder. So the next statement, else if country equals India, then what we want to happen is another set of possibilities. We're going to change 0.83 to 79.23 because that's the conversion factor for rupees. We're going to change pounds to rupees. And what you'll see I'm doing is I'm going to go down this else if ladder and literally just copy exactly what we did for the previous two examples. Now we're on to Switzerland. So Switzerland, and enter, copy and paste. The conversion factor for francs is 0.95, again going off of the prompt, and the currency is francs. We're going to continue, else if country equals Japan, we want the conversion factor to be changed to 134.21 and the currency to be in yens. And lastly, you can write else if Argentina, or you can do else because that's the last possibility remaining. It's automatically going to revert to that. I'm just going to say else if, but really it's up to you. Country equals Argentina. Then what we are going to do is we are going to change the conversion factor once more, and this time it will be 135.34, and the currency will be pesos. And that's pretty much it for our else if ladder. We completed that, and now after we do all those computations, don't we want to tell our user what their how much money they have in a different country along with the currency, which is what we want to do. So I'm going to use an escape sequence just so it enters onto the next line for some neatness. Your money in, and I'm going to insert the country they typed by doing open quote plus country plus close quote, just so it inserts whatever value is stored in that variable. Country is, now this part is important, space plus df.format. I'll explain to you what this means. Other country currency, close parentheses, plus quote, then after that we want no space, and then we want to type plus currency. Let's make sure I don't have any errors there. Plus currency, plus open quote, plus quote, and then we need another quote, plus currency. So that should work. And make sure you just format it. Okay, that's good now. So the formatting is a little bit wonky. Just make sure you copied it how I did on the screen. So we used an escape sequence. We said your money in the country that you entered, which we stored in a variable, we're going to display it back to you, is plus df.format. So if you say df.format, then put the variable you want to be rounded to those two decimal places in these parentheses. It will do it for you. Because these calculations up here might get a little bit sloppy. So if we put it in this df.format, it will round it off off to the nearest 100th place for us, which we want. And then if we do plus, and then we add this currency, whatever currency is assigned in these if statements will be displayed as with the actual amount they have in that country. So let's test out this code now by hitting play. Please enter your amount of money in USD. I'm just going to say I have $5. So then we get, please look at the following menu of countries. We have the countries listed. Please choose a country by entering its full name as shown in the menu, and your money in that country will be calculated. Let's just say India. And let's hit enter. So your money in India is 396.15 rupees. As you can see, there's no space right here, so we can actually do that by going into the print statement and hitting space. And if we redid that, and I think it's important to show you all this because you can make errors, and as you go through and you run your program, and you can actually identify the errors you will have. If I type in India, and now it should calculate it perfectly. So it's calculated perfectly. Everything is working fine. Please feel free to try this out with other countries, other values, and it should work. So I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, that's it for this lesson. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the post notification bell, drop a comment down below, and share using our socials. I will come back to you with our second exercises, which is going to be looking at a grading system, and we'll look more into else if ladders and compound conditional statements. I'll see you next time.